And welcome everyone. This is Owl Freedom Teachings. I am Julian Katari. I get together with Blue Heron Woman here who is ready to give continuance to this that has been a very amazing topic, a very attractive, interesting topic, one of our most attractive conversations and investigations that we've done. The pleasure commandments. We're going to continue giving you this list of commandments that I want to tell the folks here that I was trying to get AI to do the images for the list. Just have a kind of like a nice image I can share or I can put up here in the show that lists the pleasure commandments, and AI is like, I can't do that for you. Which is a great way to for me to start the conversation, because we live in this world, and that's why this is so crucial for freedom,
Yeah.
because we live in the world where we can't still educate properly about proper sexual relationships or about pleasure, because everything's just still censored. We're still under
Yeah.
this kind of worldview brought by the sex deprecating religions that you've talked a lot about that before, and it's like there's no, what's the word for we're not free from from religion, from still,
No.
like,
Yeah.
why do we want to, you know why would we AI, I mean, I'm not, I guess if I want to publish that, it might, I don't know, to me it still would be too much if it did that, censor me. But just creating it for me, why would it censor that?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
can't do that for you. You're just putting words there. I'm not even asking you for an image. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous.
yeah. So welcome everyone for this what might be censored, but no, it won't be censored, because we're gonna find ways to get through that censorship, and
Yeah.
and this is what must be spoken of. So let's get into it.
So let's start before we get back to the pleasure commandments. I want to talk. I want to present the love song or story of Shakti Yin and Shiva Yang,
Okay.
because sex. Why are we talking about this? Well,
Mhm.
sex lies at the root of life, and we can
Mhm.
never learn to reverence life until we know how to understand sex. And we all think we do because we've all watched porno.
Yeah, which is
That's that's
bad
nothing.
education.
Exactly. So, in
Mhm.
the beginning was the one the one and only substance. The one was all and everything, and for eons it reveled in being one in magnificent unitary bliss. However, over the course of the time, the one became bored, and so it split into two. And one part was Shiva or Yang, he of the logical, rational consciousness, silent, loving presence and purpose. And one was Shakti Yin, she of the irrational, wildly irrational, creative, flowing consciousness, power, movement, and love that's fully expressed.
Mhm.
As soon as the one became two, they gazed upon each other and fell madly in love and wanted nothing more than to reunite. And that's the picture of the that I sent you of the couple with the sun,
Mhm.
the rays, right?
Okay, let's put
They,
that up here. Well, I'll be putting in that up here. Mhm.
they clasped each other passionately and explored all the ways the two could merge fully into oneness again. They
Would
entered each other and dissolved boundaries between them.
would this be it, or the other one?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Shiva and Shakti making love. Yeah.
Shiva and
Okay.
Shakti, yes. For
Mhm.
millennia, they made love, exquisite erotic love, and at long last, they again achieved complete oneness as they exploded in mutual orgasmic bliss. And in that moment, the universe was born, and life sprang into being and is still springing. So this is a story of about each and every one of us. We live in the illusion that we are separate. And then the next image comes from China with
Mhm.
the two that are linked. And first they face each other,
Mm-hmm.
they're united up here, and then
Okay.
they turn and face the world to create the world, right? But
Oh,
they're
wow.
always
Yeah.
intertwined,
So you got their
right?
tails intertwined,
Yeah, they're
and
always
then
connected.
first you intertwine yourself with your mate, and then with that and through that with the world. That's very so much of the Andean worldview, very much like the Andean worldview too.
So this is a story of each and every one of us. We live in the illusion that we're separate, that and long for the connection and desire and have the desire to merge into oneness. So, like them, passion is what connects us all to life, and desire is our path to divine union. So, this story reminds us that ecstasy is our birthright
Mm-hmm.
and the source of all existence. It also tells us that sex is more than individual desires, erotic experiences, intimate connections, and sexual behavior. It's the deepest expression of the power of creation. Sex is the basic urge to merge, and our individual sexuality is a very small piece of that huge primal power, that pulsing life force. And so
Mm-hmm.
our sexuality connects us to that cosmic energy. They are one and the same thing on the micro and the macro levels. And so our sexuality can take us on a sacred path that unites us with all of life throughout all time. And this is why we're talking about this. This is why it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So the 20 commandments of pleasure, right? The first one was, thou shalt accept him for who he is. For ladies to men, for men to ladies, thou shalt pay attention to the details of her desire.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, ladies, thou shalt adore his penis. Men, thou shalt adore thou shalt stimulate her senses.
Okay, let me
Number
put the,
3, thou shalt,
so this is for the gentleman.
yeah, yeah. We're breezing through
Mhm.
them to catch up to come to where we left off before.
Mm-hmm. So
So thou
this is
shalt be the source of beauty in his life.
okay. That's number 3. Okay, here's
Yeah.
commandments. Mm-hmm.
That's for women. For men, thou shalt compliment her meaningfully and often.
So you're alternating one for men, one
Yes,
for
I'm
women.
alternating.
So
Yeah.
that means I need to get the other image and put it up and switch it. And I think that's it. Okay. So for 3, um, so which one did you say?
Women, thou shalt be the source of beauty in his life. And for men, thou shalt compliment her meaningfully and often. That's number 3.
Okay. So how do I switch the images? Okay. There we go. All right. Already.
So, and then number 4, ladies, thou shalt inspire him.
Mm-hmm.
And gentlemen, thou shalt encourage her to show and tell you how she likes to be touched.
Okay. There we go. Mm-hmm.
And with this one, we talked about how the most orgasmically advanced people are on the Polynesian island of Mangaya.
Mm-hmm.
And almost all of the females have 2 or 3 orgasms every time they have sex, because upon entering puberty, the Mangayan boys have to go through a series of initiation rites, instructing them in the methods of stimulating women to achieve maximal pleasure.
So that's what we went through on the last conversation, part 1 of this. Yeah. And if somebody wants to check that, you can go into the channels and look for the pleasure commandments number 1. So today we continue with the last 5 for each, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So number 5, ladies, thou shalt excite him. You need to keep him eroticized and just a little bit off balance, because while female pleasure is like a flower, it needs water, lubrication, support, warmth, and sunshine. Male pleasure is like a car. It needs to be driven.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so important, because young ladies sometimes get used to, oh, I'm just pretty and that's all I need. And
Yeah,
sometimes that's a lot for a man. Sometimes that already is a lot. But I did, if I may comment on this, just to make it more fun, I did,
yeah.
I once got together with this very, very beautiful, she was like a queen almost, girl that she approached me even. And, I felt lucky. And, and so, yeah, we got onto the sex, and after, going out a few times, and we are about to be, and she just laid there. And I just couldn't believe that the quick change from me being just so excited about being with her intimately, and then being with her intimately, I was so not excited because,
So disappointed, right?
yeah, so because she just laid on her back, and that's all she did. It was She's like a dead man, like a dead.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we all gotta. It's playing around. It's play. You gotta play.
Well, that's why this is so important. We all think we
Mhm.
know how to have sex, but all we know is porno.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really. I mean, so we have to learn. I mean, we can watch the animals and know that they know how to have sex, but that's just for procreation, literally.
Mm. Well, even
And
they seem to enjoy it sometimes.
yeah, but I mean, we as humans can take it so much further than that. That's why this is so
Yeah,
important.
we can make an art and a even
Yeah.
a spiritual ceremony out of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, man, for ladies, thou shalt listen to her and learn about who she is, what she's been through, what she needs, and what she wants. To the
Mhm.
female, talking is foreplay. She doesn't have to talk about sex for it to be foreplay. Before she can even appreciate romance, she often needs to talk to be heard and to feel understood for who she is and what she is going through. So, men, listen to support her. Support
Okay.
means
Yeah.
listening to her hopes and dreams, her fears, and her insecurities, letting her cry or even yell and scream without offering advice unless she wants it. And yeah, that is absolutely important. As
That's very hard for
uncomfortable as
men.
you get with it, man,
Yeah.
that's absolutely important.
Yeah. A man is so mechanic minded. It's like, oh, a problem. I immediately must think of a solution.
Yeah, no. Support means letting her know it's okay to share her real feelings, not rushing to judge or rescue her or solve her problems unless she asks you to. Support means listening without anxiety, anger, or disapproval. And support means listening with empathy and compassion. So listen to learn about her sexual desires. Listen to learn about her childhood, her relationships with her mother, her father, her brothers and sisters, how she was punished and how she was rewarded. Because our sexual nature is formed when we are young. So our family has a big impact on it. And as you listen, you will discover the little girl inside your woman. Find that little girl, pleasure her, play with her, and she'll never grow old. Talk with her and listen to her, and she'll never stop speaking to you.
Hmm. Wow.
So, number 6, ladies, thou shalt mother him, not smother him. Be a source of nurturance and refuge to a man. Make him feel at home with you. All men need to be mothered, so be his pleasure mother. Learn from the great mother that is
Hmm.
his. A gentleman's first impression of ladies comes from the first lady of his life, who is his mother. We
Hmm.
all need pleasure mothering, but men have been raised that dependency needs are signs of weakness, and so this commandment is on the gentleman's side.
Yeah.
And it is every man's pleasure to be free, so let him. Balancing independence with closeness, freedom with restraint, dependency with autonomy is an important pleasure point and a key to a healthy, happy, long term love affair. Experiment then with pleasure mothering behaviors as you might, like with cooking recipes, and see what he likes or what makes him sick to his stomach.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. We like that. Yes.
So, man, thou
Hmm.
shalt make her laugh.
Wow. Even during the act itself.
Yes.
I read around there that that's a sign for that of great connection. If you can, if all of a sudden you kind of burst into a funny situation, it just
Yeah.
changes into a funny situation all of a sudden. It's a sign of good chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because laughter is actually a mental orgasm. So be a fool for love. Give the gift of laughter. For what is pleasure after all? It's a relaxing of the defenses, an awakening of the senses, including the sense of humor. Laughter is the soundtrack to playing, and it is through playing that the greatest achievements are accomplished. So if you can make her laugh, you can win her heart, and her genitals will soon follow.
Mm, okay.
Ladies, number 7, thou shalt discover his deepest desires and fantasies.
Number 7. Yes, for a lady to pleasure man, and sometimes, yeah, that's where you want the chemistry, because that's where you could find on any
Yeah.
side sometimes an issue.
Yeah. So if you explore fantasies together, you've pressed a pleasure point in his body and soul that he won't easily give up, ladies. Erotic fantasies begin in the cradle. They begin even in utero more often than not. So by the time we get to our teens, they're really intense. And fantasies come from the first sexual images we found arousing.
Hmm.
These images are very powerful because they're impressed on us when we're very young and our minds are very impressionable. So they infuse sexuality with meaning and excitement.
Hmm.
So fantasies, deepest desires and fantasies are important. We don't realize that this starts in the cradle, in the womb.
Hmm.
We just don't think about the fact that we listen to our mother and father make love while we're developing.
Hmm.
We're very close up
Hmm.
to the
Sure.
action, right?
Hmm.
So it's there, and we've so suppressed all this.
Hmm.
So, men, for ladies, number 7, thou shalt give her things. It's not that she doesn't love you for herself, for you yourself. It's simply that a very primitive part of her responds to a gift as an erotic act. Gifts excite her. Gifts make her feel valued. Gifts stimulate her and make her feel provided for and cared for.
Hmm. That's
So,
interesting
men,
that this comes in for the play. I mean, because men know that, but they don't think it has to do with pleasure.
right? Yeah,
Like they think, oh, it's just a nice thing to do. It
right.
makes her
Yeah,
happy. They know that it's
yeah,
important. They know that, but it's very feminine to for that to be tied to the actual intimate act, and that's what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
bringing up here.
yeah. So, men, don't resent this aspect of her. Make the most of it. And what should you give her? Well, one of the great courtly love traditions is sending love letters, passionate posts, hot notes, etc. Then
Hmm.
there's doing her favors. Doing little things for her is just like
Mhm.
giving her little gifts that add up to making you a part of her life. And yes, absolutely. I can speak for that. Having Jaime just do little things for me that I could do,
Mhm.
it that would take me probably an hour, half an hour, and much stress to do, and he can do in 5 minutes with minimal stress. It's just some of the most important things he can do for me.
Yeah, that gets you wet already.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, and taking her out and taking her shopping is, yeah, that doesn't do much for me.
yeah, yeah. Because we're
Right?
not into the
Yeah, I've
into the
never,
shopping.
Yeah, I like going out. I mean, I would love to go dancing, but it's also, there's so much. Well, if you go dancing, you can't. One of you can't drink, right? Because one's got to be the designated driver,
No,
right?
you
So
can
that
drink a
kind of,
little bit. I mean,
yeah, you can drink a little bit, but or you
and
can,
not
if you
even
live
that
in
little.
town, you
Much.
can take a taxi. But when you live in the country, it's kind of hard to go out and go dancing because everything is a big drive.
Oh yeah, you gotta drive far, and
So this
unless
is
you.
where in
Mhm.
Huddleville's societies, we're going to have our own entertainment, so we don't have to even
Yeah,
leave our right.
that's
So
that's it. That's the point of this. Is having more of this.
exactly.
Hmm.
So, ladies, thou shalt remember what his mother says that all men are little boys. Because every man has at least a part of Peter Pan in him, or a bit of Peter Pan in him. So draw out that little boy in him, play with that little boy, talk to him, and he will delight you with his innocence and enthusiasm. Talk to him about his childhood, and whether the child inside is a good little boy or a naughty boy depends on the man and his mood. So, in the words of one bad boy, the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. And that is, oh yeah, that is me all the way. That's my animus. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to tell and prove to you that I can. So that's the male side of me coming out. I never realized that, right?
Mhm.
But for men, thou shalt exude confidence and vulnerability for her, because for the female, confidence is a very strong aphrodisiac. Your confidence makes her feel secure and excited at the same time. Assure her that you know what to do and that you can be flexible if plans change. Develop depth to your aura of confidence and it will become actual.
Mhm.
Learn as much as you can about the female by getting in touch with your own feminine side as well as your lady and her pleasure points. And develop your confidence in her also. And then surrender to her, which is the vulnerability. Talk about your feelings, admit ignorance, open up about things that scare you. And
Mhm.
men, your vulnerability gives her an emotional and even erotic kind of pleasure. It makes you seem warmer and cuddlier. It makes you accessible, adorable, and lovable.
Mhm.
In the 12th century, the five main virtues of the medieval knight that he cultivated to win the heart of his lady were courage, love, loyalty, courtesy, and temperance.
Mhm.
Ladies,
Okay.
thou shalt regard him as a hero.
Yeah, you gotta bang his ego.
Every man yearns to be a hero, even if it's to just one person in his life. So, ladies, give your prime mate your admiration, and he will give you his devotion. Make him
Mm.
feel that his life has meaning, import, and worth, not just to you, but to the world. Value his help, be sensitive to his heroic hangups, and make him feel heroic in bed, and support him in his nonviolent heroics.
Mhm.
And man, thou shalt have foreplay. Foreplay
Okay.
doesn't just happen in bed, just minutes before sex. It can happen over a hug, a long, luscious kiss, a hand up her skirt and between her warm thighs, anytime. Any kind of affectionate touch can be foreplay, and you can spend the majority of the day engaged in foreplay, and that means mixing business with pleasure. So,
Mhm.
men, explore the sensual paradise of her body. She has pleasure points all over, not just her nipples and genitalia. And remember, she takes longer to get aroused than you do.
I heard from a sex coach that the best foreplay is just the simple hug, is like embracing the
Yeah,
whole, just
yeah,
holding like really close and touching with your whole body.
yeah. Well, and from experience with the man I'm with right now, even even when we're butchering pigs, we're foreplaying because he's touching me in ways that no other man touches me, places that I wouldn't allow any other man to touch me.
Mhm.
But it's all done. It's just all fun and titillating. It's
Yeah, that's what
right.
you
So
got to be playing around every single moment.
yeah, yeah. And he's
And
the
we do
first
come
man
from a
I've been
place
with
where
that's
that
been like
that
this.
we used to be. Almost feels like we were not mature enough at some point where we thought that was incorrect or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
and now we're figuring out that if you don't do that,
yeah,
you're not doing it right.
yeah, for sure. So, number 10, ladies, thou shalt
Mhm.
swallow, at least sometimes, because for many men, swallowing his sperm is a symbolic acceptance of all of him. For the male, semen is a holy, precious fluid. It's the creamy milk in the land of milk and honey, right? Cleopatra was said to be a great swallower. Rumor had it that she filleted dozens of her soldiers in one night, and that's one way to make sure the military is on your side.
Wow. Yeah, it's got a magical thing. You know, there's something about it. I mean, that pleasures
Isn't it?
men, but not just the pleasure part, but almost like if they're that kind of impregnate something in the head or some weird thing. That's yeah. It's and then but it's not always easy, and
Yeah,
because then you've talked about that taking being careful about what it tastes like what you eat and
yeah,
all of that. I think was that in the other conversation or I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
That was, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So, wow. So, and there's your your Cleo cat up there.
yeah,
Close and beautiful. Let me zoom into that. Oh my God.
yeah. One of them. Okay, so lastly, man, thou shalt find out what her dreams are made of and help her realize them, even if it means just talking to her about them. Support her ambitions, help her evolve into the highest form of human being she can be. If you don't get interested in her work, if you don't give her the pleasure of your support, somebody else will.
That's so important and so missed. We have to ask. We should do that all the time. And for Aloha Nidao Living, like ask, because some people don't ask themselves that. What is my dream?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, no,
we get lost into duty
right?
and forget about chasing dreams.
Yes, right, exactly.
But
Yeah,
then
no, that
that cuts us away from paradise, from pleasure, from happiness, from
absolutely.
play. Because chasing dreams or wanting to achieve a dream is a it's what makes life fun. I mean, what's the fun in life if you're not trying to reach a dream?
Well, and the fact is that most of us coming through school with guidance counselors never were allowed to dream, even really. I
Hmm.
mean, and I didn't go through school. I just knew that I was homeschooled my whole life, but I just knew from reading books about the RN, the old 3 year practical, technical,
Hmm.
RN programs, non-degreed programs, but that I wanted to be a nurse. That just sounded like a whole lot of fun. And part of it was the uniform because, they used to wear the cap. And the first year you'd get just a cap, and the second year you'd get one stripe, and the third year you'd get another stripe, and just all that was the biggest part of my dream. And by the time I came to nursing school, there was no longer that. It was just a college degree program.
Hmm.
But and most of us don't even know what we want. We go to the guidance counselor, and And they might ask, well, what do you want to do? And you might say, I want to be a marine biologist. And the guidance counselor says, oh, you're not going to make money at that. You need to do this. And there goes that dream out the window.
How do they allow that? What kind of education is that?
But because that's all part of that slave system.
Yeah. But that's not exactly what I kind of imagined that in the US, because I did go to school in the US, but I also went to school in Mexico, and Mexican teachers were not like that. They were like the other way around. They're like, you got to follow your dreams, kid, even if they don't make money. But I guess I went to an alternative school.
My daughter went to, my younger one, my older one did too. She thought for a while she wanted to be a lawyer, and she got supported in that. She got to go to this young lawyers thing. That was really cool. The younger one said she wanted to be an archaeologist after having read there's Kathleen O'Neill Greer and her husband. They're both archaeologists, and they've written this whole slew of books about like they're all fiction, archaeological fiction. And from that, she was like, I want to be an archaeologist. And her guidance counselor told her, you're not going to make money at that. She's like, I don't care. Archaeologist, and consequently, she's actually making a shit ton of money out of it because she followed her heart.
Like whatever your passion is, if you want to make money, there's always a way to make money out of anything you have expertise on.
Well, but that's the thing. It was with both her and I. With me, I never once even questioned how much money am I going to make as a nurse. It was just like, I'm going to be a nurse. God damn it, I'm going to be a nurse. That's what I want to do. And I always made good money as a nurse.
That's great.
Except for my first couple of years in the Navy. But but yeah, I did. And the same thing. She never questioned how much money am I going to make as an archaeologist. She's just like, I'm going to be an archaeologist because that's what I want to do. That's what I'm called to do. And she's made good money since she graduated from college with it. Wow. Now, when she decided she was going to do wildland firefighting, she made it all about the money, and she didn't make a single dollar on wildland firefighting.
Oh, really? So that's the lesson, huh? That's a university lesson.
She didn't even, yeah. That's why I told her, because you did it. You didn't make any money because you were chasing money. You didn't do it for the passion. You did it for the money.
That's a big lesson that has been showing up. Anything you chase, it's gonna run away from.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, the dreams is very important. So I would say, even for ladies, we need to listen to men's dreams too, because men especially, I think, have really been taught to not dream. They're just supposed to go out there and be the provider for their wife and their kids.
Yeah.
And not even dream.
Yeah.
So let's start with the arts of seduction. We're going to get into the arts of seduction, which come from the Kama Sutra.
Okay.
So there's a difference between a fuck and a sexual experience.
Okay.
We need to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And we as humans are the only species on Earth capable of consciously creating and enjoying mutual pleasure, and not just momentary pleasure. Eastern cultures believed that a stable society depended on a stable union between man and woman, and the secret to a stable union between man and woman is good sex.
Okay, write that down.
Yeah.
Because we don't.
Eastern cultures also believe that the union of a man and woman is like the mating of heaven and earth, and that it is because of their correct mating that heaven and earth can last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very, very, very important. So much more importance to it than we've ever given it.
Mm-hmm.
The Kama Sutra is characterized by a degree of refinement, beauty, and nuanced pleasure, which extends to the words used to describe women's genitalia. So, for instance, the Sanskrit word for clitoris means the love umbrella. The
Hmm.
vulva is the fragrant palace, and I think we all know, most of us know that the Sanskrit term for the vagina is the yoni, which means the temple.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And for the penis, it's the lingam, which is
Hmm.
kind of cool because the Spanish word for tongue is almost the
Lingua, yeah.
same.
And it's got to
Yeah.
be helpful also for with the censorship using these code words.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, sex and sensuality is essential to the human condition, and the fine arts of seduction, as written in the Kama Sutra, are very effective in harmonizing the sexual energy of lovers so that the sexual act becomes a mutually enjoyable experience every time. And that's the point. More often than not, the sexual act is a pleasurable experience for him and not for her.
Hmm.
In fact, for how many hundreds of years were women taught to just lay there and let it happen because it was her duty to him and she was not supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's why, yeah, what I describe happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. So men's desires are like fire, easy to ignite and equally quick to extinguish, while women's desires are like water, taking far longer to come to a boil and equally long to cool down. So the arts of seduction are meant to bridge the gap between the two sexes. They are meant to slow the man down and encourage him to take his time over his arousal, and at the same time give the woman enough time and motivation to raise her sexual energies and desires. So the goal of seduction was more than just a meeting of two bodies. It involved every single sense, beginning with the most erogenous zone of all, the mind, which is the start and the end of the road to sexual fulfillment. So seduction is not an event, it's a state of mind. It can put a spring in your step and a lilt in your voice and the fun into sex as it awakens the nuances of pleasure and the depths of satisfaction.
Mhm.
So the first one, and that's what we'll do, only the first and tonight. Maybe we'll do two. The first one is the art of perfuming.
Okay.
In ancient India, perfume was not meant to be merely dabbed and applied. It had to be absorbed into the skin and mingle with the perspiration to enhance the body's fragrance.
Hmm.
Perfuming was considered to be a very skilled craft in ancient India, and every part of the body had to be perfumed with a different fragrance. Each scent was distinct and yet merged together like a shifting but composite whole. Seduction was not an event, it was a mood, a feeling, a desire that came from the soul and took time to build up. So perfume seduced the mind, and the slow, languorous movements of warm scented oils being massaged into the body would bring a woman to a more advanced state of arousal and prepare her for a night of lovemaking. And both men and women wore perfume. According to the Kama Sutra, the well of sexual desire was in the parting of the hair on top of the head. So perfuming had to start with the hair. So, as a lady, if you wanted to attract a man's attention, you would walk past him, swishing your hair, and leave behind a trail of perfume
Hmm.
that came from your hair. Then the neck was perfumed with a fresh scent, and the breasts or chest were rubbed with a perfumed oil made of saffron and cloves. The belly button was scented with musk, and the curve of the waist was a road all lovers would have to travel, so the perfume ensured that that journey wouldn't end too soon.
Wow.
The inner arms and underarms were very important perfume spots. According
Hmm.
to the Kama Sutra, the armpit is a very important erogenous zone because there's a large erotic nerve that directly connects the underarm with the vulva. So kissing the armpit stimulates the woman's love juices, which incidentally, 2 years, I guess the summer it's going to be, it was 2 years. The summer it'll be 2 years when I got so sick and I had abscesses in my armpits. I had them same place, the vulva.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that that was so connected.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then the back was dotted with little dabs of sandalwood because that would leave a trail to be followed. So perfume was a way of life. The clothes, the bedrooms, the bathwater, everything was perfumed. And so that inspired me to go find natural perfumes. And I found a site that I could get a little box for $20 of many, many different types of essential
Hmm.
oil perfumes. And I've really enjoyed perfuming myself again since before COVID, when I would go to Tulsa for meetings, I would perfume myself and put makeup on once a month. I was going to meetings, but COVID hit and
Hmm.
that shut down. So for 6 years, I haven't done that, and it's been really nice to put perfume on again.
Hmm.
So it seems silly. I didn't do it today, but I'm working my way to just perfuming myself every day, even to just go out and feed the animals, because it's stimulating to myself to perfume myself,
Hmm. Okay.
to smell that nice scent. So
Hmm.
yeah. So then number 2 is the art of lovers' quarrels. The author of the Kama Sutra felt that the benefit of lovers' quarrels were immense in strengthening relationships and increasing passion. The lovers' quarrel of the Kama Sutra was an out and out gloves off fight. And the making up, which was even more important, had to be done with pure, egoless, no holds barred love. So the author did say that lovers' quarrels only work for a couple who already shares a strong bond of love and trust, because they understand that the quarrel is just a temporary bit of madness, and that it is to be made up with even more love than the anger that started it in the first place. So according to the rules of the Kama Sutra, the man starts the fight by having showed interest in some other woman, or he was away too long, or he seemed disinterested. This gave the woman the right to feel angry, and it was then his role to appease her. And the Kama Sutra said that she is to have a loud and an unabashed tantrum. She could do anything she wanted except run out of the house. Why? Well, because if he didn't follow her, she would feel humiliated, and returning with her dignity and tact would be very difficult. And then, secondly, if he was to follow her, this would be humiliating to him. So the whole adventure was to take place in the house, in closed doors, and then he was to fall at her feet and make up, right? So the author said the most popular position for lovemaking after the fight was I've been trying to picture this for days now. The woman on her back with one foot on her lover's head and the other on his shoulder. Is this for oral sex, or is this for I've been trying to picture that. This would cause the red paste on the bottom of her feet to rub off on his forehead, and then would signify, because he couldn't get that off, that red paste, and that he could get
Hmm.
the majority of it washed off, but it would leave some, and it would signify to the world that he had appeased his female lover.
Okay.
So, in telling us how to fight and allocating the rules, the author proved that he was a master of the human psyche. Man, if she's upset, don't tell her she's being silly or nagging or unreasonable, and accept what you have. And that's the biggest. I hung up on mine the other night because he said something along that same line,
Hmm.
and he and I were both being silly and unreasonable. We were both being full, so I just hung up on him to let myself off the hook,
Hmm.
to end it, right? But it's true. Don't tell me I'm being silly or nagging or unreasonable. Let me explode, and I will probably figure out myself that I'm being silly and unreasonable, right? And accept that you've upset her, even if you are unable to understand why. Um, Except that there's a little bit you did to trigger. You're not the full reason. It's her own shit. That's the reason, but you triggered that.
Hmm.
So just be mature enough to know that you're partly responsible for it and dump her your ego and decide that it will be you who does the making up and do so with complete and unconditional love.
Mm.
Well, we
Let her
still
go.
have some time. So the next one would be the secret language of lovers.
Hmm.
The Kama Sutra says there are no words to express the delights of love, lovers, and lovemaking. So, how do you convey what those few moments meant to you? Or describe the passion of a night spent together, or the words to for the exquisiteness of a meeting to come? So, lovers' messages have to stretch across the domain of every fantasy and still create room for more.
Hmm.
In ancient Indian literature and the arts of seduction was the concept of the girdle of jingling bells. It was not normal for a woman to be on top during sex. For her to be on top, she had to be an exceptionally good lover. She had to be good enough to bring herself and her partner to orgasm by only moving her hips, not her torso, not her waist, just her
Hmm.
hips. And by
Okay.
moving just her hips, the bells of her girdle would not make a sound. So the
Mm.
jingling girdle became a symbol of erotic fantasy. The sensation of a woman moving on top of her lover, the sight of her swinging breasts, the beads of sweat on her forehead, and her earrings grazing across her cheeks as she leaned forward to kiss her lover's lips. So the girdle of the jingling bells alone was a lover's message.
Mm.
But an expert knowledge of the love codes and symbols was one of the 64 essential skills of the Kama Sutra and indispensable to one's success in society and love. And this is really amazing to me how the I Ching has the 64 hexagrams that guide of spiritual law that guide our life. The Kama Sutra, India had the 64 skills of the lover, of the lovers, right? All matches together, but all coming from different parts of the world. So the 64 skills were indispensable to one's success in society and in love. The codes was a series of objects, gestures, and symbols as it developed during a time before paper and pencil. And the needs of lovers are endless, and so are the symbols to express those needs. There was an entire range of love message based on foods and spices. And then the most expensive and most public love messages were based on torn clothes, strategically torn. One or two tears meant you were burning in the fire of extreme love, and while tears at the hem indicated a breakup, and so on.
Hmm.
So the symbols and codes of love and lovers so captured the imagination of the poets and artists that very soon the love codes of the Kama Sutra became the love language of epic romances and miniature paintings of ancient and medieval India. Everything had its own meaning in the love code. Women wore different pieces of jewelry to promise different positions and games of foreplay. Men wore garlands of fresh flowers according to the time of the season and the time of day to indicate their intentions.
Hmm.
Love bites and love scratches were part of this also. So imagine the secret exchange in a public place of expressing attraction and arousal and setting up a rendezvous to slake that arousal without actual words, with gestures and symbols. That becomes as erotically charged as the physical act itself. So maybe it's time for us to develop a new love code of symbols, and gestures, because no one spends all their physical time having sex, but yet a
Mm.
mental and emotional connection is extremely exciting and promotes better sex.
Mm.
So the Kama
Yeah.
Sutra advises us that lovers spend time creating their own secret language because it's indispensable for a satisfying and successful relationship.
Wow.
And next week, we'll continue the arts of seduction with love bites.
So this is great. This is a great topic. It keeps you wanting to know more and learn more. And shall we not say anything else, because we will continue next week.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. So thank you for being here, folks. Thanks for joining us. You're going to be seeing us in the common places. We're
And
here
next
always.
week, we need to go 15 minutes later.
Okay. So 8:30 for
Yeah.
Central Standard Time in the US. That's going to be the live stream. And otherwise, you'll check us out when this is in the Rumble and YouTube. And if you want to check the website, alohainidelliving.com, Aloha and Aini share at 1A, that you can go there and you can join us anytime into the Owl Freedom teachings or into the training program that we're developing. And all of this is curriculum for that. And the
Yeah.
best way to experience all these teachings is to join, because that way you just become free all of a sudden. You can just choose
Yeah.
to be free. It's the choice. Freedom is a choice, not a goal, right?
Right.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
choice you make. Once you make that choice, but then that's the hard part. It's making that choice. I want to be free. I choose to be free, because you can say all your life, I want to be free,
And not be free.
and not make the choice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we'll catch up with you folks next week, 8:30, and send you lots of love and waterfalls of blessings. See you
Yeah.
next week.